Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast with your hosts, Jason Mefford and Kathy Gruber. Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. I'm your co-host, Kathy Gruber.
And I'm Jason Mefford, and today it's another What's on
your
desk episode.
With jazz hands.
Woo! Jazz hands or the rock and roll, get an air guitar going on. So I know Kathy is really excited. She's been wanting to share this new thing on her desk. So we had to do one of these episodes. So here we go. So Kathy, I know you're like busting, so I'm going to keep talking so you can't talk. Because I know you really want to. Okay,
I love it so much. I love it so much. I have not loved something so much in so long. So I was getting my hair done, and as she was doing this laser thing on my hair, I look over and I see this thing, and I went, "Oh, I love that so much." And this woman rents the studio space from somebody else, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I don't know where she got that. I'm sure it's some like custom made thing." And I had to explain to her what it was. So here it is. It's quite large, but I had to find it. So it's a Buddha, right? It's a greatest thing in the world. And I freaked the fuck out. And this woman's, I said, "It's a Kleenex holder." She goes, "What?" She didn't realize it was a Kleenex holder. So she thought it was this like rare, because this woman who owns this studio is very like, and she goes, "Oh, I'm sure this was like a custom made thing that she had shipped in from on fucking Amazon for like $30. But it's so great. And there's Kleenex coming out of his little lotus flower. And I just love this so much. So I bought one for my desk here, and I bought one for my office. And Eric came home one day in this big box, and he's like, "What's that?" I said, "Oh, it's the greatest thing ever." So I put it all together, and I made him close his eyes, and I held it up, and I said, "Open your eyes." And he opened his eyes, and he went, "Okay." He was not as thrilled as me.
He didn't have the same reaction you did.
I thought everybody just in the world would love this. So this is on my desk. It is a giant ass Buddha Kleenex holder.
Yeah, so those of you, if you're listening, well, no, everybody should be seeing video on this too, right?
Absolutely be seeing video of this.
You should see in video. So yeah, lotus, sitting lotus, out of the middle of the lotus comes the Kleenex, right? So I guess obviously with as excited as you were, right? So every time you see that, it brings you some joy. But I think it's fun when there are things like that where it has meaning though too.
Yeah.
But it's also functional, right? So you can have it on your desk and it hides the Kleenex box, but you still got the Kleenexes nearby, but you still have the Buddha next to you as well. So I think
Capricorn loves it.
Great thing.
It's my favorite thing ever. It's just the right level of kitsch.
Yeah.
And I actually had a client, because I have it in the treatment room of my office, and a client of mine, he's just such a unique character. He's one of my favorite people. And he came out and he goes, "So that Buddha that you have in there, is that marble?" And I said, "No." I said, "In fact, it's a Kleenex holder." And he goes, "What?" And I said, "It's a Kleenex holder." And I brought it out and I showed him. And he goes, "That's the greatest thing ever. Where'd you get it?" And I said, "Amazon." So I think I spread the word about the Buddha Kleenex holder, and he was thrilled as well. So it's just it's so fun. Yeah. And it's beautifully done. I mean, like the artistry of it too is really pretty. It's a gorgeous face, and the fingers in the mudra. And it's just.
Well, so is it a resin? Probably, or
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, it's like, but just look how beautiful it is with the hand and the flower, and then, it's a poof.
Yep, exactly.
You can tell this just makes me so happy.
Well, and there's a lot of symbolism behind those things too, right? I mean, like you said, the mudra, the lotus flower, the position, lots of things, especially those that have a religious or spiritual connotation to it. There's a lot of symbolism behind it. And so I know I have a lot of little things like that it's not just pretty to look at, but the symbolism and some of the other stuff behind it reminds me of so many other things as well.
Yeah. So that's and you can tell I'm just tickled. I mean, every time I look at it, it just thrills me. And like, I've literally walked across, again, not in a big house, but it's like, I've gone from the bathroom out to here because I want to use one of the Buddha Kleenexes because it's fun. And you pull it out and one goes poof and it pops back up through the flower. And I just can't get enough of it. It's the greatest thing ever.
All right. Yeah.
So yeah, I've lost my mind. But yeah. So hey, Jason, what's on your desk?
All right. Well, we're gonna switch from Buddha Kleenex holders to a book
Oh.
that actually is on my desk. So I know a lot of times we haven't done books, but it's interesting. And I'll kind of tell you the backstory, but it's this book. It's called Howl and Other Poems by Allen Ginsberg.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So what's interesting is, and actually, because well, I think on one of the previous ones we recorded today, with the beard and everything, you were like, oh, you need to be blowing something, like I should be blowing bagpipes or something like that, right?
Or a
Well,
saxophone.
what's funny is, when I started growing this, one of the guys that I do some work with, he told me one time, he's like, you're starting to look like a beat poet. And I'm like,
Hmm.
damn, I like that, right? Because I actually have a huge appreciation for the beat poets, and a lot of you listening might not know who the beat poets were, but you might have heard of people like Allen Ginsberg and Neil Cassidy and Jack Kerouac and oh gosh, there's about six guys that kind of were known as the beat poets. And so they were these men who'd come back from the Second World War, right? I think all of them served in the war, or about that age, right? So that we're talking 50s. And they were poets, writers, congregated kind of in the San Francisco area. They spent a lot of time in that area.
Yep.
And this book, Howl and Other Poems by Allen Ginsberg, is a historically significant book for a lot of different reasons, right? So I'll just read the first couple of lines that you might have heard before but had no idea where it came from. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving hysterically naked, dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn looking for an angry fix. Angel-headed hipsters burning for the ancient heavenly connection to the starry dynamo in the machinery of the night. Boom! Right?
Wow.
Now again, it's a different poem. I like poetry. I'm a poet myself. But some of those phrases, angel-headed hipsters.
Oh God, yeah.
That's in pop culture now. The
And
starry dynamo.
it evokes such an image, right? I mean, it's like there's so many other ways to say that, but that was just so stunningly phrased.
Yeah, and so what's interesting about this book in particular is when Ginsberg wrote it, and it got published by City Light Books in San Francisco.
Oh God, yeah,
Every time I go to San Francisco, which I'll probably be there in a couple of weeks, I like to go to Cafe Vesuvio, which is right next to City Light Books. And Vesuvio is one of those kind of bar cafe places where a lot of these guys hung out, but a lot of the hippie movement did as well. So they've got pictures all over the place, Dylan, all these different people who were there. And so you walk into a building like that where all these people who've changed history have been. It's just like this surreal feeling, right?
Wow.
But what's interesting about this book too is, and why I refer to it, actually, one of my friends on his Instagram, he had that first line on his like tagline or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You know about Howl? He's like, yeah. So we started talking about it, right? But this book, which was interesting, is when it was published, Ginsberg got arrested, thrown in jail. Because of obscenity. They considered it to be an obscene book because there's a lot of sexual references. Ginsberg was gay, so there's some, homosexual references and other things in it. But it really is a condemnation of the society that we're living in. And so there's that anti-establishment kind of thing too. So anyway, this book ended up getting them thrown in jail. The people from the bookstore thrown in jail. court cases that went all the way to the Supreme Court on obscenity and what was considered obscene and not obscene. Right?
Wow.
And so this was one of the first cases to really allow much more open freedom of speech. And so it was people like Ginsburg in this poem, people like Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, from a comedian standpoint, that that allowed us to have so much more freedom today. So this book reminds me of all of those things, the gratitude that I have for those people, for this poem. So I'll take my little book with me, and when I stop off in San Francisco in a couple of weeks, I'll have a drink in Vesuvio, and I'll read this book again while I'm there. But it also reminds me of the Beat poets, right? And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is the Beats were a huge influence in the counterculture and the hippies.
Sure.
They laid the foundation for the Summer of Love and all of that stuff to happen. And a lot of the great rock and roll and music that I love was inspired by some of these Beat poets. So
wow, that's really cool.
That happened to be on my desk because, like I said, one of my friends, it was on his Instagram, and I pulled it out, and it's gonna stay here until I get to San Francisco in a couple of weeks and take it with me.
Oh, that's really cool. And I love the story and the backstory of like your connection to that. And that's really cool. I love that. And I learned stuff because I didn't know much about Allen Ginsberg. So yay. So the other thing on my desk, and I'm actually just going to turn my computer a little bit here. So I have this cork board here that I keep stuff on. But one of the things I do is every time I do a speaking gig, of course, you get, a little name tag thing. And after I do them, I hang them up here on this cork board until I get too many, because then it starts to like tilt. And then I put them in a box. So I have, for the most part, every lanyard that I've ever used for a speaking gig. And I keep that there because, first of all, they're kind of in order. So it reminds me of what I've done already this year and the wide variety of people that I've been able to reach and the messages that I've been able to get out to people. So every time I look over there and I go, oh, there's another name tag of mine, it just sort of reminds me of the success that I've had in being able to share the message of health and wellness and growth and stress reduction and all that stuff with people. And I take such a joy in speaking that it just sort of, every time I look over there, I go, oh, it makes me happy. And it's kind of fun when it starts to get too heavy, because then it like all tilts to one side, and I pull them all down and it evens itself back out, and I put them in a big box in the garage. And yeah, so I mean, it's kind of silly, but like I have, and I was just at a birthday party for a 92-year-old who's a huge influence at the Magic Castle, and they had someone doing calligraphy, and that was my name tag. But on the back of it is an old Magic Club card, a membership card that they would have given out to people who were doing their magic classes decades ago. So that's kind of fun too. That one will probably stay up there for a while. But yeah, so it's just all my lanyards for my speaking gigs I like to keep there. And, I have this Kleenex holder. It's really fun.
You have a Kleenex holder?
I love that thing so much.
Not that you're excited about that, right?
I'm going to make Buddha, okay. I'm going to make a little lanyard, and I'm going to put it around Buddha's neck.
There you go. Make him a little mallet. Yeah. Anyway, but no, I actually, because it's funny as you were talking about the lanyards, because things like that remind you, like you said, right? You look at the lanyard, it reminds you of the experience. You're flashed right back to the hotel or the venue that you were in, and the speech that you gave, and some of the people that you met. I used to do the same kind of thing where I'd usually bring back a magnet or some kind of little trinket kind of thing for from all the different places that I'd been in the world, right?
Yeah.
To different countries or things like that. Or when I was going to a lot of the baseball parks, I'd always come back with a baseball
sure
from that particular baseball park, right? And so little things like that are great in helping us to remember some of the things like that we've done. So that's kind of cool. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And you must have boxes and boxes and boxes of those things.
I have so many. Yeah. I have so many. And they don't always, they oftentimes they want them back because they recycle them or whatever it is. But so I typically brought them back from starting from 10 or 11 years ago when I did my first one, because I was like, oh my God, my first lanyard. And then it's like, I'm, Capricorn, right? I'm like, well, if I got one, I got to keep all of them now. And I can't possibly at this point get rid of them. It's like my ex-husband was a runner. He used to do marathons, and he always kept his bibs from his
Uh-huh.
races. And for
Yep.
the longest time, he would just put them one on top of each other, and he had this whole stack, growing stack of bibs. And I don't know if he still has them. I'll have to ask him the next time I see him if he still has all those running bibs. But at some point, you're like, you have to get rid of some of this stuff because you have to pare down and move and all this crap. But as long as I can, I'm going to keep all my lanyards. Yeah.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. All
What's
right.
your last thing on your desk, Jason?
Jason turn is this.
That's some sort of. See, I told you should be blowing things. That's some sort of Native American whistle.
It made me think of it too, right? So it's a Native American flute. And so the story behind this too is that one of the mentors that I work with was kind of telling me a story. I heard a recording of him playing a handpan drum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I have a handpan over here too, but and he was telling me the story, right, about how he played that, how it kind of channeled through to him, and that somebody wanted it, and so they kept hounding him to buy it from him.
Wow.
And they kept raising the money, and so finally he sold that handpan to that person, and he was telling me how he regretted it. Right, that he had wished that he hadn't done that. And so I was taking little notes in the back of my head, and I'm thinking I wanted him to be able to play music like that again and not have to have that regret. So I found a handpan that was the same generation, model, tuning of what he had back then. And so it was kind of hard. It actually wasn't very hard for me to find, but that's another story for another day on why it was so easy for me to find it. But so I found it, I bought it, and the next time I went to see him, I took it to him and said, here, I found this. I would like you to have it because I would like to replace what you lost, right? And what you regretted losing. So, again, just a form of love from me to my mentor of I want you to play beautiful music like I heard you play on that instrument before. So here, please take this, right? And so, thank you. We're having dinner. We're going through, talking along, and all of a sudden, he goes, "You play flutes, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm learning. I've got a couple of flutes." He starts asking me about my flutes, and he said, "I have another flute at home. It's yours." And I went, "Oh my gosh, you don't have to do that." So this flute was given to me by my mentor.
Wow.
It's a flute that he played. He's a holy man. So it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning how to play, but the flute itself has meaning that way, but also it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
Right? In that the music that comes out of these instruments can be healing for people.
Sure. What does it sound? Okay, so you have to just at least play something because I want to know what it sounds like.
I'll play something, and like I said, it's just a little. I haven't practiced anything, so again, right? It's like I'm not here to perform. I'm just here to play something. But close your eyes, sit back, whatever. You're going to feel a little bit more relaxed at the end of it anyway. But yeah, here's something that I've kind of been playing with.
Wow, that's so cool.
Just a little something, and I'm like I said, I'm getting better at it. But yeah, I had for something else I was recording, I had to turn off the noise suppression. But yeah, if I'm playing my drums or I'm playing the flute, Zoom tries to like shut everything down on the noise suppression. It's like, whoa, background noise! Don't let it through.
Yeah, it was very loud, but I can turn that down, and I can fix it in the mix. But yeah,
you can fix it in the mix.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, so that's and it's a again, it's one of those things that I use as a tool for myself, but also when we play music, we're putting good energy out into the world as well.
Yeah,
And
that
so a lot of
vibration.
times, yeah, the vibration. And so a lot of times as I play that or I play my drum, I'm having the intention of sending healing and love out into the world as well. So, and the fact that that one was given to be my mentor is
Yeah,
that much more special.
yeah, that's
Knowing
so
that
cool.
knowing that he played it too.
Oh my
right?
God, yeah.
So yeah.
That's really cool. So if you're, if you're sitting at home, like, okay, she has a booted Kleenex holder and he's got a flute, whatever. It reiterates that finding little joy in things. I mean, you could see how freaking enthusiastic I am about this Kleenex. It's a Kleenex holder, $30 on Amazon, but it brings me such joy.
Yep.
And every time I look at it, and every time you look at that flute, or I look at my little lanyards or the book, it's about surrounding ourselves with things that bring us joy. Things that anchor us back in this present moment, that on a down day, you can pick up that flute and play a couple notes and think about your mentor and be transported to someplace else, right? And that's what this is about. We get to, if you have, we have the smallest little room in the world that we live in, but I still have the ability to put things in that environment that thrill me, that mean something to me. So that's why we do these What's on Your Desk. And it's fun. You get to learn something about us after watching us for so many years. So
yep. As well. And ideas for you if you want to start putting things on your desk or having things around yourself as well. Or even maybe to just look at some of the stuff that you surround yourself with and start asking yourself why and find some of that simple joy in it. Remember who gave it to you, remember where you were when you got it, different things like that. Because for everybody, it's something different, but
yeah, we all have a different thing. Cool. Oh, I love these. I love that flute. Thank you for playing that. That was gorgeous. I'm Kathy Groover. I can be reached at kathygroover.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com. Go out and have a great week. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Fire and Earth podcast.
See ya. Ooh, okay.